Here are some of the reason why teachers get fired. My art teacher got busted with a naked painting he had done of a girl in my class. She was 18, but he still got fired. Did she pose for him, or did he paint it from his imagination? I'm trying to imagine which one is worse, and honestly, both feel so awful for his career in teaching. The second one's easily the worst, especially given this little bit of context. Your 18-year-old student posing for a nude painting is sketchy, but it's nowhere near as bad as painting it from your imagination and then giving it to her. My high school physics teacher had a small, makeshift Canon PVC pipe that he used to demonstrate physics. Basically, he would wad up some paper towels, douse them with lighter fluid, cram them in the cannon, and light it off. Since he did this inside and didn't want to set the school on fire, he did the sensible thing. Have a student hold a metal bucket to catch the flaming projectile. Shockingly, he did this demonstration for years, reliably hit the bucket, and didn't have any issue. Until the year before I got there, and he ever so slightly set a student on fire. Basically, he missed the bucket and hit the student in the chest, causing him to be just a little bit on fire until the flames were patted out. Student goes home with a scorched shirt. Parents flip wig. Teacher comes this close to being fired, but instead is expressly forbidden from doing any demonstration of anything whatsoever. My luck turned around in my graduating year when he decided he'd had enough crap, quit, and spent his last day showing us every demonstration he was otherwise banned from doing, including the cannon. It was a fun day. Slightly set a student on fire, causing him to be just a little bit on fire. If it was just a little bit, I don't see what the issue is. In all seriousness, that teacher sounds like the cool kind of physics teacher. My 4th grade reading teacher murdered his wife and son and buried them in his backyard. Edit. Thanks to the person who gilded this comment. That was very generous. Did he get fired? Edit. Neat. Thanks. Yes, he did. And then jailed. Edit. Oh look. Thank you. What a twist. Didn't see that coming. Told a girl in our class to button up her shirt because he was getting hard. We were shocked when those words came out. Didn't see for the remainder of high school. Well, he was the janitor, but he got a 9th grader pregnant. Janitor got more game than me. He is a custodial engineer. He engineered himself into custody? In grade school, the art teacher taught art for all the grades. She was known for being harsh and critical among the students, but adults dismissed it as kids whining. Then came the time where the entire school didn't have an honor roll because she didn't award a single grade above a C. My grade school art teacher was this sweet, rotund lady that everyone loved. Fast forward 15 years, and she was on the cover of the local newspaper for breaking into cars and using stolen credit cards at an American Eagle. Good times. I like her already. He died. I don't know why the school said they fired him, but whatever. Just for variety here. 4th grade. Teacher, Mrs. Gottlieb walks to the middle of the classroom and starts clapping her hands and chanting I before E, except after C over and over. Would not stop. 10 minutes. The whole class went dead silent. After a while the teacher from the next room came over, and then the music teacher was suddenly there, and we never saw Mrs. Gottlieb again. Student, but what about Conscience or Beige? Teacher, goes silent. Expression goes dead. Pulls out a gun and shoots herself in the head. Coming in still drunk from the night before after going to a midnight premiere of Revenge of the Sith. Our English teacher turned up still drunk from the night before. Fortunately she had us 6th year 17 to 18-year-olds for a double period first thing. We told her to go sleep it off and she did. We woke her up 2 hours later when the class finished. We had your back, Mrs. Kenny. Accidentally showed adult films to the class, starring himself. Were you in the class? I can't even imagine how that would happen. No, thank God. It was homemade. From what I heard, it was just a video file on his laptop. That's about all I know. Other than that, if he wasn't fired, I wouldn't have the scholarships I have now. So it's a good thing my teacher was a perv, I guess. Edit. Many people have asked me how him being fired helped with the scholarships. I would have failed the class if he hadn't been fired. But because he was, a lot of the assignments he assigned were randomly declared null, including a blog he made us run, a few essays, and some random assignments, many of which I never bothered to do, which brought my grade up significantly. Ended up with a C in the class, but because it was an honors class it was counted as a B. There's a full tuition scholarship you can get at my uni if you got all A's and B's in high school. I didn't know it at the time, but a bullet basically just gracefully osculated my taint. That one teacher was Mr. M. He was a 6th grade science teacher, and everyone loved him. He was a firm but fair teacher that made sure we all understood the material and even made learning 6th grade science material surprisingly enjoyable. Every Friday, he'd wear silly bright red shoes, and for birthdays, he would take a photo with the birthday kid with him standing on his head on their desk. Like I said, this guy was great. During one lesson, when I was in 8th grade, a student dropped a thermometer on the floor, broke it, and spilled a very tiny amount of mercury on the floor. Mr. M cleaned it up, but apparently not the right way, according to the administration. Once they caught wind of the story, he was forced to leave for apparently putting kids in danger, even though that amount of mercury would not even be close to dangerous. Everyone was crushed. A ton of students all banded together to buy him a new pair of red shoes. Last I heard from him, he got a great job in another school in the state, where he's loved by the students there too. So that's good. I'm friends on Facebook with him. I should ask him about what's new when I can. Edit. I asked some people, not Mr. M, and it turns out it was because he didn't report the spill to the administration. Not just because he didn't clean it up correctly. Still crappy, but I figured I should clarify. Reaching up an 8th grader's skirt. He probably dropped his pen, and it landed up her skirt. Logic. Only works if she blushed then punched him. Forget teacher. The principal was fired for having predatory online conversation with who he thought was a young girl. Turned out it was a sting operation, and they traced his computer, and he was fired a few weeks later after being put on leave. Rumor has it his wife divorced him and took their young daughter and moved far away. One of students was a son of the director/head of the board. I caught him cheating on my final exam. It was a definition question, and I found the edit webpage where he copied the exact answer. I, of course, gave him an F. At the end of that semester, like a week later, I was told to leave. He passed my class with a C without my approval. Edit. Just to clarify the situation, I saw him using his phone. I didn't tell him that. I just asked why he was looking under the desk. He said he was playing with his phone, followed by arguing that it's not against the rule to do so. The question was to define velocity. It's easy enough that you can phrase in your own words. Less than 5 words. He wrote 3 sentences, which was too good/detailed for a guy who doesn't even bother to memorize FMA. The definition was copied from the textbook. It was copied from one of the first Google results. The kid was known to do such things by the students and the teachers. Other students didn't give a damn about him, and most teachers didn't want to deal with him. I didn't care to argue with them. Did mad? No, it was such a crappy show that I was gonna quit after the first year or two. I taught 7 different classes with 0 help from my mentors. In fact, one of them screamed at me in front of my students for giving her son a C on a quiz. I was extremely stressed out that I actually felt relieved. One of my former students later told me that the school went downhill so fast after I left. Not because of me, of course, but a bunch of teachers were also let go, and most of the talented students moved to different schools. Also, when I was let go, some teachers wrote fantastic recommendation letters, and most of students told me and made videos to show how much they miss me. It's been 5 years, but I still keep in touch with some of them. It was a joke about your username, but I'm glad to hear things turned out well for you. And that you lived up to your username.